Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Romina and we're live on Facebook. So, as definitely this is a live presentation, as you can see, that you could hear the sirens in the background. So, managing your holiday stress, how do we deal with that? Every year it comes back and we try to be on top of our game plan, but just things happen. So, today I wanted to share with you all my knowledge and experience in treating patients, as well as my educational and academic and research experience. My name is Dr. Romina Gassemi. I have been a practitioner since 1995. And yes, I have seen many patients with different conditions under different circumstances. And unfortunately, almost 80% of these patients could have prevented their aches and pain or their office visits. I am still practicing. My office is in downtown Los Angeles. So if you're in the area or if you know someone, I'll be happy to meet you or see you at the clinic. And I'm here to help you. Today, we're going to talk about stress. So, do you ever find yourself trying to balance life, whether you're a male or female, or whether you're a couple together, managing home and family, meetings and friends? Unfortunately, not much friends socialization going on right now, but trying to stay on top of your Zoom meetings and staying on top of your making the most out of what 2020 has challenged us to do. And speaking of 2020 challenges, this year, your adaptability, your resilience, your creativity was challenged to its max. And you came out strong and stronger and probably impressed yourself more than you expected. So now it's time to give you more ammunition in how to handle your stresses, especially during holiday season. You see, who gets stressed? Parents. Usually, if you're a parent, you're 35% likely that you'll get stressed. If you're a woman, you definitely are under a lot of stress because you're multitasker. So you tend to stress about multi things at the same time. And people who have college degrees tend to be are less stressed. So maybe because they kind of look at things more logically and less emotionally. And the causes of holiday stress are different for different people, but these are the top four. Unrealistic expectations, giving yourself or pushing yourself beyond what you should be expecting. Excessive gift buying, which leads to financial stress. Parties, cookies, cleanings, and just feeling like you're overwhelmed or exhausted. And also, this is the time you actually take a moment to reflect upon your year and what have you accomplished. Did you set out too many tasks and put yourself under too much stress, or gave yourself too steep of a goal to reach? All those things are things that we actually set ourselves up. And knowing that what the problem is makes it less effective on our body. So I'm going to go through why you have this stress. You see, this is the category of typical holiday stresses: financials, too many activities, trying to spend time coping between time with family and coping with work, overindulgence, or being alone for singles out there, or being alone, or people who family are away from family members during this holiday season. That definitely can turn into holiday blues. And also reminiscing on holidays, reminiscing on memories, the memories that you've had that you cannot have right now, especially with COVID going on. So these factors are typical and you're not alone. However, they do take a toll on your body. And things that you should know: that you're under stress. If you feel like your performance is reduced, whether at school or at work, do you feel more depressed or go through bouts of anxiety and depression or mood changes? Are you more sensitive? Suicidal thoughts are really just the holiday blues that are coming along, but they are indicators that you need to watch out. They're very much indicators, symptoms, signs are all indications that we need to take action. Physical, emotional abuse, self-destructive or dangerous behaviors, overwhelming feelings, unable to cope, or overuse of alcohol or drugs, just trying to calm things down. That means your body is under a chronic stress. So managing stress, obviously setting up realistic expectations. And I could go along one by one off of this top 10 tips for managing stress, but saying something is one thing and doing it is a whole different thing. So let me bring it back into more of a physiological effect on your body. See, there's three responses when you're under stress. You either fight, you either run away, or you freeze. So these are the three major responses. The thing is, when you're under a sudden stress, it's a heightened feeling. You get a bunch of hormones released at the same time that is so fast, you won't even know how that makes your head spin. In a flight fright stage was really during our primitive ages of trying to cope with a very dangerous, life-threatening situation. But recently, unfortunately, we do not have the ability to cope off of that, like being prepared for a Zoom meeting and having everything done and overworking and overstressing and not having a managed balance in your time schedule could also cause all those problems, plus the holiday stresses by itself. So the fight and flight, or the three stress responses, is really a response to fear, to avoiding fear and avoiding pain. This is the body is willing to go through under self-protection mode, which means it goes on autopilot to protect you. And it doesn't really start analyzing things, but you just do because you need to get something done. Typical explanation of that is, have you heard of the stories of a mother lifting up a car to protect her child, or a man trying to save somebody from a plane crash by moving the pieces of metal scraps that generally would have logically never been able to do so? And when you ask them what happened, how did you do this? What were you thinking? They say, common thing, I wasn't thinking. So that's when your body goes on autopilot and your brain stops analyzing. So let's see what happens. In a stressful situation, a person, when they're under a stress situation, the amygdala, which is part of your limbic system, gets immediately activated. So it's almost like having war sirens going on, or fire alarm going on. That's all you think about is survival, right? That's exactly what happens physiologically inside your body. So there's a signal to your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus activates your central nervous system, where it activates the autonomic nervous system, and it balances between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So adrenals go into a fast release mode of adrenal gland, also known as cortisol. And cortisol starts activating on neuroepinephrine, which activates, your heart starts beating fast, your lungs expand to take more oxygenation, getting your body ready for a fight or flight mechanism, getting you prepared. You're actually, your blood pressure goes high, so that way there's increased circulation, there's decreased digestion, because really at that point, it doesn't really matter what you're digesting. And also your liver starts converting glucose into glycogen faster in order for us to have more energy in the response of either fighting or running away. This mechanism happens in such a split second that you don't even know what happened. Just like where the people say, what were you thinking? They're like, I wasn't thinking. This is what happens in response to your body in a nutshell. Now, biopsychologically, what happens to fight or flight is the brain will not be concentrating. It goes into an anxiety and depression and irritable mood. So physiological changes obviously are right here in this chart. Your heart rate changes, right? But the reason is because you need to have a blood flow to your organs and increase your movement, the movement of adrenal around the body, because we need to get the body prepared. Sirens are going off. Everybody's in a run mode. Everybody's in a protective defense mode, right? So you increase your breathing to increase oxygenation, and your pupils dilate because you need to focus on what's in front of you. You don't need to worry about your peripheral vision. And that is very important to address the attack or the threat that's about to affect you. Now, interesting enough, at the same time, that's not in this area, your spleen starts producing white blood cells and platelets Just in case you get injured, you can heal faster. How funny is that, right? Sweat production. The body goes into a cooling mechanism because the sweat glands are opened up in the skin, which is the biggest organ of your body, in order to cool you down as the rest of your body is fastly running into a high-speed engine. And also the reduction of non-essential functions, digestion, urination, salivation. And have you ever heard the expression of scared so much, somebody was so scared that they their pants, right? That's because the defecation process becomes a mechanism that the body tries to unload to lighten itself in order to be able to fight. This is part of the digestive system that goes into a shutdown. It reduces the digestive system. And also reproductive organs start reducing, decreasing libido, increasing PMS symptoms. Now, this is very typical when we start talking about chronic stress problems. So this is when you're under stress, like a car just went by and you innately shifted your body and missed the car by maybe an inch or two to protect yourself. That's your body's innate intelligence taking care of itself. But what about the times that you're under chronic stress, physically, emotionally, and unfortunately, chemically? You see, chronic stress acts exactly like acute stress. The problem, you never go into a recovery state. The recovery state of acute stress is exhaustion, dehydration, confusion, and all systems start shutting down to reboot themselves back up. But when you're under chronic stress, it's very hard to recuperate. And unfortunately, you go through a series of damages, some of them poor nutrition. So eating well, I could go on and on, or you could go on and on in researches on the World Wide Web about proper nutrition. And guess what? If it's stress related, you will not be able to lose that weight. If you have gained weight around your abdominal region, or what we call it adrenal weight gain, which is really around your waistline, and it immediately affects your sleep pattern. Between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. you wake up, you're either looking at an endocrine system such as your thyroid and your pituitary gland, or you're looking at your adrenals. So those are the two factors you need to do, and a home self-test of thyroid iodine intake is actually a really good start to identify if it's a cortisol issue, if it's an adrenal issue, or if it's a thyroid issue, or do a blood test with your doctor. Increase glucocortisol from the brain. It starts from your mind, and that's where the whole system starts. It starts in the brain, and it activates the entire system of fight or flight or freeze. And that is sometimes when you find yourself in a situation that you are kind of lost, like you're not sure, what was I doing? Where was I going? It's very typical to have a short-term memory loss in a chronic stress state. So don't think you're having Alzheimer's. You do not. You may be just under a lot of stress. And that could be a drip effect that's causing as much damage as would a short burst of stress cause you. So one of the factors that overloads the body's stress mechanism is your skeletal system. Poor posture is a constant aggravation and constant taxing of your entire energy system and puts your body in a semi-stress state. And by putting your body in a semi-stress state, you actually put yourself in a position of chronic stress disorder, right? So if you're experiencing symptoms of such more than 3 times in the past year, you already have started affecting your skeletal system, which could be the predisposing factor or the preliminary factor to your overall chemical and physiological stress. So let's talk about the nervous system, because that's where everything starts, right? The effect of stress on your body is headaches, depression, difficulty sleeping, rapid breathing, or holding your breath. Another factor when you're under chronic stress, you tend to hold your breath, or hold your tongue, which your breath kind of go hand in hand together, that actually activates your fight or fright and freeze mechanism. That activates your nervous system. So during stressful situations, whether you are on a meeting or whether you're in a family situation or a friend or a loved one situation that you really have to hold your tongue, start breathing even your mouth is quiet. You really start breathing to balance and recharge your energy to handle the situation. You see, when you're under stress, your central nervous system instantly affects your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So it's not really you, it's the physiology of your body that causes you to react that way. So by having those reactions, there is a control and there is a dial tone that you can control the amount of the effect of this stress on your body. Those symptoms are typical indicators that you're under chronic stress. Another factor, going back to physical stresses. You see, average size of your head is between 8 to 15 pounds. And normal is when your earlobe lines up with your shoulder. If you want to know if your earlobe is lining up with your shoulder or what state you're in, just simply take a pen, put it vertically on your earlobe, and let the ink land on your chest or shoulder or wherever it lands on your upper body. And measure that from the center of your shoulder. That is the amount of forward head position you have. So if you tend to use your smart devices on frequent basis, whether it's your phone, your tablet, or your monitor, or your laptop, be cognizant of your head position, because unknowingly you're putting yourself in a stress position that would activate your overall fight or flight or freeze mechanism and its domino effect of systemic effect. And just so you know, for every 1 inch that your head is more forward than its normal position, there's 10 pounds of pressure on your upper back and 30 pounds on your lower back. So take the number that's on your upper back. When last time you were surfing your phone and looking on your social media for 2 hours, there was actually 360% pounds of pressure on your lower back. And that is something that you really need to be cognizant about. And if you want more information about proper body ergonomics at work, don't hesitate to look at my other webinars and podcasts on this subject matter on my website at thinkhealthy.com. So where is this whole connection? So what are we going to do with these stresses of the holiday season? How do we hack this system and make it work for us? There has to be a balance between 3 pillars of your entire wellness: your physical balance, your chemical balance, and your mental balance. All 3 of these are in an equitriangle, which means the angles are always and consistently the same. So if I increase your chemical balance, or if I reduce your physical balance, that triangle, that angle will have an immediate impact on mental and chemical. So by physically changing your body position right now, if you just sit upright for maybe 10 seconds, and now take 2 deep breaths in from your belly button, breathe in, inhale, fully inhale your lung cavity, and let that air exhale through the crown of your head and circulate back, and then breathe in again from your belly as you're sitting up straight. Inflate your lung cavity and bring your shoulders back and maybe slightly look up and blow that air up towards the ceiling. By doing physical changes to your body and enhancing your physical body, you instantly change your chemical balance, because that has a direct effect on your digestive mechanism, because you're digesting in a more relaxed state. So chronic stress leads to a condition known as critical state amnesia. And that could be defined more of a physiological basis. It's an implication of really actually a memory loss during extreme survival stress situation. Let me give you an example. Somebody was in a really bad car accident, and momentarily they don't remember what happened. They have an impairment of the memory of the event before the injury. I don't know what happened. And they have an impairment of the memory after the event. instantly after the event. That eventually affects your impairment in learning. Now that takes a long time. That's a whole different discussion, which we'll have it on a whole different webinar. But let me simplify it for you. A friend of mine was recently in a car accident that almost took his life. It was very devastating to him, to his family, to his loved ones, and also just very challenging to know all of a sudden that everything can end in a split second. He does not remember how the accident happened. His car flipped a couple of times, and thank God he survived. And he also survived not only the car accident, but the possibility of limb amputation. On top of that, he doesn't remember after the accident until he finds himself in the hospital. So you have a period of time that his body went through a sudden stress reaction, and that was fight, flight, and freeze. So he went into a freeze mode, and that critical moment of incident caused him to have amnesia before and after. Now, through exercises and through other factors, you actually will start remembering things. But here's the thing. If you are under chronic stress and you forget where you left your keys or what you did with your bag that you had in your hand a minute ago, or you got in the car and you forgot to take the documents you were supposed to take to the bank, or you forgot to press send on a text message or on an email, don't be surprised, because you may be under chronic stress and you're having a critical incident of amnesias. So these can be addressed to a greater or lesser degree, right? The shades are variable, but this is really the graph that you're going through. So this is your performance. You start in the morning, you're happy and ready to go along and tackle the day. You're healthy, you got your intentions, you got your to-do list for the day, you're motivated, you're focused, and then you push yourself without taking any breaks, without any distractions of maybe hydrating yourself or taking a 5-minute break every 2 hours or every hour, or stretching your limbs, or having a visual distraction, looking at something far away rather than just focusing into the computer monitor, repositioning your posture. That's another factor. So you lead your body into a fatigue state, into an exhaustion, into panic and anxiety. And that stress overload leads you into a state of lost, confusion, oversensitive, anxious, burnt down, sick and tired of this, quote unquote. So this is called chronic stress. To address this, it's the easiest, the simplest ways you can address this. It's so easy, it's actually ridiculous. So let me show you how easy it is. Now, this is Dr. Seeley identified 3 stages of general adaptation, and he called it general adaptation to chronic stress, right? Because eventually all these stresses would lead to conditions such as ulcer, arthritis, hypertension, atherosclerosis, diabetes. And may I say something, during this 2020 COVID-19 crisis, did you know that stress affects your immune system on an immediate basis? So if you want to be more protective of your health, aside from washing your hands and rubbing your body, soaking your body into alcohol and back and wearing masks, it's more important that you manage your stress, because that has a higher effect on your immune system that internally fights the viral antigen in your body than trying to shield yourself and surrounding yourself and staying away. Of course, those are important, they're preventive factors, but they're not ammunition. Ammunition is internal system. Ammunition is good nutrition, strong immune system, and strong immune system starts with reducing your stress level. So going back to the chronic adaptation, the first stage of general adaptation syndrome is when your nervous system and your endocrine system starts going through the cycle that I mentioned to you, right? Then you go into a stage of shock. Then you go into a state of hyperarousal, which means that you're not back into your normal state and you're not into the high stress mode, but you're aware, you're in that awareness mode, right? You're on it. But the problem is that chronically exhausts your entire internal system. And that causes the body to break down and is more resistant to wellness. And these are the conditions where we call quote unquote disease stages that arises. So if you want to start yourself back onto health, start with wellness and start with a simple mechanism of relaxing. And I know that you probably heard this a million times, to relax, but nobody tells you how. How do you relax? What are you talking about? I got these deadlines to take care of. I have this financial stress. I have this work situation that I went from work to home, and now I got to deal with the entire family situation. I don't get a break, etc., etc., etc. I'm in pain. It hurts. I can't sleep. All the things that you're sharing with me or you've shared with a loved one are very realistic. And let me give you some basic tools that you can apply without breaking the bank, without leaving the comfort of your home, and without anybody even noticing except you. What other people notice is how good it is to be around you. So here is the next one. Let's first and foremost address your posture, because that's one thing you could do instantly and immediately. And those symptoms that are written over here are exactly the symptoms of the nervous system response to a critical or stressful situation. Sorry about the background noise. Another factor are yoga poses. You can go on YouTube and you could look up any yoga poses, or there's millions of apps you could download. But let me tell you what each pose is going to deliver to you. The top easy pose, or a seated twisted pose, the first two, they are actually addressing your thoracolumbar, which is where your kidneys sit, which is also where your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. So by addressing that twisting motion in an upright position while you're breathing, not only you relax the nervous system, you mobilize the spine, you take away the tension in the body, and you oxygenate your blood. And you give some love to your adrenal glands. And also your abdominal region, which is your power source. This cow face or cobble pose, both in an upright position, address the extensor muscles in the back. That's where the slouching happens, actually, between the base of your neck and the curve of your lower back. Your thoracic region is where the slouching happens. And that area is exactly where your parasympathetic nervous system sits. So stretching your middle back, whether it's twisting or upright in upright position by strengthening the trapezius muscle. Say I had a moment of amnesia. Presenting is a little stressful, right? So taking care of your thoracic spine, that is your trapezius, your latissimus muscle, it actually helps your entire parasympathetic nervous system, autonomic nervous system. So do that. It's going to be very effective, especially if you do it with a help of a towel, so in case you can't reach your hands in your back. Now, the one-legged downward dog is very effective in rebalancing the position of the cerebrospinal fluid flowing into your spine, and it also puts your body in a state of extension, which is counter effect of a crunched over flexion during the day. Very, very effective. The triangle forward also addresses the side, the organs along your abdominal region, also your kidneys, also your flanks in your lower back. If you tend to sit a lot, this is a great pose. And also the warrior pose is effective for ladies or those people who tend to cross their legs when they are sitting. And you'll notice that one side is more controlled, the other side is less under control. That's because you have a pelvis imbalance. You definitely want to see your chiropractor to get your spine aligned, and you notice a huge difference in your balance. Huge, instantly, much faster than anything else. The shoulder stand is extremely effective in activating your thyroid gland, and you want to stay in this pose for 17 seconds. If it bothers your lower back, you can bend your knees or use a wall to lay your feet on. Ooh, seated forward bend is specifically to stretch your entire paraspinal muscles. Extended puppy is very effective in raising up your chin to stretch the muscles in the front of your back, your pectorals, your tricep muscles, and also it's a fantastic way of stretching those hips. And again, downward dog is the best experience. It's a fantastic way to recharge your brain and your cognitive skills. So these simple poses that you could do at the comfort of your home, whether you live in a mansion or whether you live in a studio, you can do this anytime, anywhere, and preferably if you do it outdoors, you take that extra benefit of oxygenating your lungs. Now, if you have posture issues, or if you have symptoms of head problems, or neck radiating down to your shoulders, or you just want to have a basics of ergonomics at home, especially if you're a parent and listening, you really want to take care of your kids with the ergonomic basic home kit. It provides you with all the little tools you need that I've been recommending to my patients over the past 25 years of being in clinical practice. These are the things you could use at home in order to get your body into more of a healthier state and fighting that chronic stress injury by taking about 5 to 10 minutes for you, just for you, no one else but you. Because at the end of it all, you have to live with this body for the rest of your life. And what you do today is going to make an impact on the next year, 5 or 10 years of your overall wellness and health. So take care of you. Here's simple tools. You could buy the kit, apply it at home, and see the difference. And also the posture kit is covered under flex spending account. So that way you could address that over there. Now, some of you might say, well, I'm not under much stress because I use a stand desk. I use a sit stand desk. If you do that, please make sure that you stand during the day and you sit in the afternoon to avoid restless leg syndrome, avoid compression in your veins, which may cause varicose veins or chronic leg syndrome, right? You want to make sure your posture is properly positioned. If you have any questions, again, I have webinars on this over and over, PowerPoint presentation and podcast. I can't emphasize this enough because changing your ergonomics, whether you get the tools that you need from thinkhealthy.com or whether you are going to self-address it, you've really got to make that difference because that would make a huge difference in your overall health. And that's an investment that you do not want to gyp yourself out of. Now, sleep is a big issue. Sleep is an indicator of your adrenal glands functioning properly, your thyroid gland functioning properly. It's the best way to lose sleep and the best way to gain weight is when you're losing sleep. So definitely helps you. A good night's sleep is going to help you lose weight. And if you're wondering what would be the best way to sleep is obviously, if you ask any chiropractor or physical therapist or any kind of biomechanics specialist of the body, we recommend on your back with a pillow under your knees or on your side with a pillow in between your knees. But here's the thing. You may be sleeping right, but you may be on a wrong pillow. So what kind of a pillow is right for you? If you have straight neck, reverse curve, have been in a car accident, suffer from neck pain or headaches, or have this rounded shoulder, you definitely want to get a functional pillow that looks like number 6, number 4, number 2, or number 3. Reason being is they promote the curve in your spine. I personally am using number 6, and I have always used that. That has been my favorite one. This one, emotional effect of your pillow is really what kind of a consistency you like. That's it. It's your choice, your preference. It's very subjective. Has no objective evaluation other than how it makes you feel and which one you like better. If you tend to go through hot flashes, obviously you want to stay away from memory foams because they actually increase heat. And you want to go with something that's more gel based, right? And once you find your consistency of your pillow, it's easy to find the functionality. I prefer number 1, 5, and 7 to use as a body pillow if you're a stomach sleeper, number 7. If you are A side sleeper is good to have number 5, just so you can rest your arm. And also, if you're a back sleeper, I'd rather have number 1 under my knees, but that's my suggestions. Ultimately, it's what makes you feel good. The one contraindication to pillow is if you're using 2 pillows under your head, you really have an issue. You're going to have an issue with your cervical spine or early degenerative arthritis. If you have sleep apnea and you cannot lay flat on a pillow, I recommend you get a wedge pillow, so that way your lift or your tilt is coming from your lumbar spine, your lower back, not from your upper back and neck, because you actually promote forward head syndrome without even realizing it. Again, ergonomics is the most important factor, because that's what we do about 6 to some people 12 hours a day. Make sure that your monitor is at your top of your head, is where your monitor is. If you have straight neck, you definitely want to make sure you raise your monitor so the tip of the monitor is right around where your top of your head is. That puts your head into slight 10 to 15 degrees extension. It helps with people who have forward head syndrome or people who have straight neck. We can't leave this stress presentation without talking about nutrition, because again, it's one of the pillars of your health, right? So instead of me going on and on about the basic realistic facts of greens are good for you and sugars or anything comes in a box is bad for you, let me just tell you what physiologically is going to make a difference, right? If you eat too quickly, you actually aggravate your digestive system. You miss the nutrients in your body and you tend to want to eat more. If you skip meals, the body goes into its own fight or flight mechanism for starvation. So you tend to gain weight more than you would if you were on a regular schedule. And the worst part is when you're eating and you're surfing the net, or you're on your social media while you're eating with your head down, you cause 2 damages. Forward head position, compressing the neck, interrupts the whole flow from your mouth to your esophagus into your digestive tract. Emotional impacts of watching your social media while eating affects your digestive tract, can lead into acid reflux and stomach cramps. When you have distracted eating, you really don't even realize how much you ate. So that would lead to overeating. So if there's 3 things you can change, not about what you eat, but how you eat to make it work for you, is slow down your chewing and play a game while you're eating. Identify the ingredients of the bite you just took. What was in it? Play a guessing game. By playing that game, not only you relax your mind, so the body's not under stress, God knows when you're going to feed it next, your digestive tract can actually secrete the enzymes that are necessary to break down the molecules for nutrition, and your body can actually absorb the minerals, the vitamins, and all the nutritional building blocks that your body needs, just by simply playing this game while you're eating. And the most important and the least costly is just breathe. If you take time to take 3 deep breaths 3 times a day, you add 3 years to your life. And also people are 3 times more likely want to be around you, because you're just the most wonderful, amazing, grounded person to be around. So breathe, eat slowly, take a moment, and if you need any help, our products are here. I designed this specifically for my patients, and I hope you can benefit the same without being my patient or being somebody else's patient. My name is Dr. Romina. Every Wednesday, I come to you and share with you hacks that could help you and can make a difference in your life. So I hope this was effective. I'm going to leave the floor open for maybe some Q&A and see if you have any questions. Somebody asked me if how to handle stress when you don't even know where to start. My first suggestion is start for 5 days, take 5-minute walk outside your house, not in your usual environment. Just take 3 different routes, just different routes, and start a process called hypnosis. Hypnosis is observing the obvious. Have you ever if I asked you to draw the front panel of your car, can you draw it in detail? And how long have you had your car? And how many times a day do you drive it? Exactly. Sometimes we don't observe the obvious, right? So when you go for walks for 5 days, 5 minutes. Now, if you want to be more challenging, go for up to 20 minutes. But look at the plants, the concretes, the birds, the flowers, the buildings, the little details that you usually pass by. By doing that, once you start finding yourself to be in more of an upper mood or happier mood or feel lighter, that's the indication that your homework is done. That alone can reset the stress level you're going through and help you with that. Let me see, what other question can I answer you? See if we can get back to some of these. Well, here's the website for where to purchase your home kits. They're specifically designed to give you all the tools that typically I recommend to patients. And the reason that I created these tools is because I would recommend asking patients to get a hot pack, a cold pack, a massage ball, a resistive band, a neck traction, a posture brace. And a lot of times patients would get lost in the sea of Amazon and not really get the right item. So that way they wasted their time and they wasted their money. So these kits are specifically chosen products to deliver the results in improving and relieving you from the symptoms that are occurring. And by keeping your body healthy, you can manage your stress and reduce and interrupt that chronic stress problem that we go through. Every year during the holiday season, it just feels more because it's the holiday season, but you've been setting yourself up throughout the year. Again, my name is Dr. Romina, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you again. These videos are available for you on our website, and will be emailed to you as well. Thank you, and have a wonderful day and happy holidays. See you next Wednesday for another surprise.